In this lesson, we learn about network security group outbound rules. First, we learn how Azure Network Security Groups process outbound rules. To configure outbound rules correctly, we learn about the outbound rule evaluation. Then we learn about the outbound processing order between subnet and network interface. After that, we will practice with configuring outbound rules. Finally, we will conclude our lesson with the review questions. Let's use this network to learn how Azure NSG processes outbound security rules. In this network, we will configure a new network security group named VM-Vault-NSG01, and we attach it to the network interface of the VM MAZP Vault-01. And the NSG comes with the default outbound security rules with the priority from 65,000 to 65,500. As you can see, the first default outbound security rule is to allow any traffic from any virtual network to any virtual network, which technically means it allows all the outbound internal traffic. And the second security rule is to allow any traffic from anywhere to the internet. And the last security rule is to deny all the outbound traffic. So with the default security rules, technically it allows all the outbound traffic, and we attach the network security group to the network interface of MAZP-VO01, which means it allows all the outbound traffic from the VM MAZP-VO01 with the default security rules. Because the vault has confidential information, so we want to block all the outbound traffic from the vault. To do that, we need to configure a new outbound security rule to deny all the traffic from anywhere to anywhere, and we assign it with the priority 4096. So why 4096? As you know, we can configure outbound security rules with the priority from 100 to 4096 because this rule is to deny all the outbound traffic. So we want to configure it with the lowest priority. That is the reason why we configure it with the priority 4096. As 4096 less than 65,000 and 65,001, so it will be processed first. And the rule is to match all the traffic, which means any traffic coming out of the vault will be processed by this rule and is denied the traffic, and the traffic will never be processed by the default security rules. Because the vault must contact the DCs for its services, so we want to allow the outbound traffic from the vault to the DCs. To do that, we need to create a new outbound security rule to allow any traffic from anywhere to the DC and assign it with the priority 100. So why we can assign this rule with the priority 100, which is the highest priority that we can configure. As you can see, this rule is to allow the traffic and the destination is a single IP address. So it is pretty safe to assign this rule with the priority 100. The only time we have to lower the priority of this rule when we want to deny a certain protocol from the vault to the DCs. As we assign this rule with the priority 100, which is the highest priority, So it will be processed first, and the rule match any traffic from anywhere to the DC, and we attach the NSG to the vault, which means all the outbound traffic from the vault to the DC will be allowed by this rule, and the traffic will never be processed by any other rule below this rule. As we know, NSG's rules are stateful, which means when we initiate an outbound connection from the vault to the DC, the outbound traffic from the vault to the DCs will be allowed by this rule, and when the DC returns the traffic back to the vault, the inbound connection from the DC back to the vault will be allowed by this same rule. To configure outbound rules correctly, we need to understand outbound rule evaluation. As you know, outbound rules are evaluated only if the source matches the scope of the NSG association. What does this mean? It means if the NSG is associated with a NIC, then the source IP in the rule must match the NIC's private IP. And if the NSG is associated with a subnet, then the source IP or range must fall within the subnet's address space. Let's learn about the outbound processing order between subnet and network interface. When a network packet is going out of a VM, it will be processed by the NSG rules attached to the network interface. If the result is denied, then the package will be dropped. And if the result is allowed, then the package will go through. After the network packet gets out of the network interface and traveling in the subnet to a specific destination, it will be processed by the NSG rules attached to the subnet. If the result is denied, then the packet will be dropped, and if the result is allowed, then the packet will go through and reach the destination and will be processed as the incoming package in the destination NSGs. Let's create the NSG name VM-voice-NSG01 with a rule to stop all outbound traffic and attach it to the network interface of the server mazpvolt01. After that, we will add a new rule to allow all the outbound traffic from mazpvolt01 to mazpdc01. To create a new network security group, let's click on Network Security Groups, then click on Create. And in the resource group, we select the infrastructure resource group, and in the name, we type in the name of the new network security group, VM-VOS-NSG01. Then we click Next and click on Review and Create. Then after the validation pass, we click on Create. And it takes several minutes for it to create a new network security group, and that's it. To create a new outbound security rule to block all the traffic, we need to click on Go to Resource and click on the Outbound Security Rules, then click Add. Here we keep all the default setting and just change the destination port range to star to select all the destination port range, and in the action we change it to deny, and in the priority we change it to 4096, then click add. That's it. It created the security rule with the priority 4096 to deny all the traffics. Let's now associate the NSG to the network interface of the Vault server. To do that, we need to click on Network Interfaces and we click on Associate. Then here we select the network interface of the Vault server. Then we click on OK. And that's it. We have just associated the network interface of the Vault server to the NSG VM-Vault-NSG01. We are in the Vault server. Let's remote to the DC server. To do that, we need to open the network desktop connection. Then we type in the IP address of the DC server 10.0.0.4, then click on connect. As you can see, we cannot connect to the DC server from the Vault server. Let's create a new outbound security rule to allow all the outbound traffic from the Vault server to the DC server. To do that, we need to click on Outbound Security Rules, then click on the Add button. Here in the destination port ranges, we need to change it to Stored to accept any destination ports. Then in the destination, we change it to IP addresses, and in the destination IP, we type in the IP address of the DC server 10.0.0.4, and we scroll down and we accept the default setting, which is any protocol, and the action is allowed. In the priority, we just type 1, and it tells us that the priority must be between 100 and 4096. So change the priority to 100, then click Add. And that's it. We have just created a new outbound security rule with the priority 100. Now from the Vault server, let's connect to the DC server. So here we just need to click connect. And as you can see from the Vault server, we still cannot connect to the DC server. To troubleshoot this issue, let's open IP flow verified in Network Watcher. So here in the search box, we type in IP flow, then we click on Network Watcher. Then we click on IP flow verified, and in the target resource, we select the Vault server. Then we pick up the network interface of the Vault server. In the packet details, we keep the default TCP protocol and the direction is inbound. As you can see, it picks up the local IP address, which is the IP address of the Vault server. And in the local port, we type in 3389. Then in the remote IP address, we type in the IP address of the DC server 10.0.0.4, and in the remote port we type in 3389, then we click on verify IP flow and we scroll down and the results is denied by the network security group production-snet-nsg01, and the rule in this securities group that denies the traffic is a deny all inbound traffic. Now let's open the production subnet network security group, then click on the inbound security rules. As you can see, this rule is to deny all the traffic from any source to any destination, and currently the production subnet network security group is attached to the production subnet. That is the reason why it blocks all the incoming traffic from the Vault to the DC server. And this rule is to block the traffic from the depth subnet So to fix the issue, we need to open the rule and update the source to the depth subnet. To do that, we change the source to IP addresses and type in the depth subnet IP address 10.0.1.0/24. Then click Save. That's it. Now from the vault, let's connect to the DC server. To do that, we need to open the remote desktop connection and we type in the IP address of the DC server, then click connect and we type in the password of the ITL admin account, then click OK. Then we click yes. As you can see, we can connect to the DC server from the vault server. Here are all the outbound security rules of the VM Vault Network Security Group. Let's click on the network interfaces. As you can see, currently the VM Vault Network Security Group is associated to the network interface of the Vault server. Now let's click on the effective security rules. As you can see, currently there's two network security groups that can control the traffic of the network interface of the Vault server. The first one is a VM Vault Network Security Group associated directly to the network interface of the Vault server. And the second is the Production Subnet Network Security Group, which is associated to the production subnet where the network interface of the Vault server is connected to. Now let's click on the VM Vault Network Security Group. Here we can see all the inbound rules and outbound rules of the network security group. Similarly, we can click on the production subnet network security group. And here we can also see all the inbound and outbound security rules of the NSGs. Let's conclude our lessons with the review questions.